Hello, and welcome to the Brockton Candidates Forum 2021. I'm your host, Susanna Sudborough from the Brockton Enterprise, and we're pleased today to have Winthrop Farwell in. He's speaking with us in the studio today and is a candidate for Councilor-At-Large and is also the sitting City Council President. So Winthrop, tell us a little about yourself and why you want to be reelected.
Well, I first got involved in public service when I ran for the school committee. I served 10 years as a member of that board. And then Brockton went into some very serious financial difficulties in the late 1980s, early 1990s, and I felt that I could step in based on my knowledge of municipal finance and help the city out. So I ran for mayor. I served for 4 years. And then I jokingly say I took a 20-year vacation and I didn't run again after leaving office in 1996 until 2015, and I was elected to Councilor-At-Large position in that year and took office in 2016. So for me, it's kind of like a job. I really enjoy working with people. I enjoy the public policy aspect of it, municipal finance evaluations and considerations. And I just think if we all collaborate, we can make the city a better place.
Excellent. So what do you believe is the most important issue facing the City Council right now?
I would say maintaining stability in terms of our finances and our health initiatives, because I know COVID is still out there and we lost far too many people. I think continuing outreach to the community, helping people understand more of what we do. There's a great deal of misinformation, particularly driven by social media, about what the council does and doesn't do. And I always caution people that we provide appropriations for departments as they're submitted by the mayor, and then the mayor and his full-time staff really translate those funds into action plans for whether education, public safety, health. So we're kind of a support system, but we also make policy to help guide where we hope the city will go. So I would say informing the public more about what we do, getting them more involved, and being very transparent in how we spend money, where it comes from, how it will be used, but also the end result. I think sometimes we overlook not coming out with an end-of-use report as to how the money was spent and how it benefited the public.
Okay. So if reelected, is there any policy that you would particularly like to see enacted?
Uniform, consistent code enforcement. I do think the city needs to be cleaned up. I think if you travel on Warren Avenue, if you travel on Main Street, Montello Street, unfortunately there are businesses that are not in compliance with our business regulations. There are junk motor vehicles, there are cars parked everywhere, sometimes on sidewalks. I just think the city needs to be clean and attractive, and in turn that will foster economic development and it will want people to move here. But I will tell you that I think the two co-equal things that are important in every community in the country are maintaining exceptional programs and services for children in our schools, as well as keeping the community safe with a strong public safety, police, fire, and emergency services plans and services.
Great. So as a Councilor-At-Large, how do you ensure that you're representing all different parts of the cities and all different communities?
I go to all of the different ward meetings that councilors hold, and unfortunately that has been curtailed because of COVID. Because by going to those ward meetings, you kind of get a sense of what's important down in Ward 6, what's important down in Ward 3. And as well as, probably because of I've been serving for so long, if I'm going shopping or I'm out, at Market Basket or something, a lot of people will come up to you and we'll talk about different issues. So I enjoy that. I answer all of my telephone calls, answer all of the emails that come in to the best of my ability, because I think it's important to have that relationship. It's not just going to a council meeting. You kind of develop a relationship with people on a day-to-day and week-by-week basis.
For sure. So now getting into some more specific issues. 3 years ago, the city entered into a trash agreement that resulted in a smaller trash container. This decision has resulted in homeowners having to purchase city-approved trash bags for the overflow. These bags have seen a 25% increase in cost after 2 years in service. Normal consumer trash bags can be purchased for significantly less. What could we do about this issue?
That decision was driven by the contract negotiations with our waste removal company. And we reached a point where we could either go with a bigger container, but that would require a large increase in the cost per household for trash pickup, or we could go with, I think it's a 32-gallon pickup with unlimited recycling, and that would leave the trash fee where it is. The increase in the trash bag, frankly, that got through the council. If I heard it, it didn't register with me. I was surprised we went from 5 bags to 4 for $5. But on balance, I think we did the right thing by not raising the fee per quarter for our residents, because we are having unlimited recycling. And hopefully that will force people to look a little more about what they're throwing into the waste stream, so that the 32-gallon may satisfy them if they recycle more. Because I just don't like raising fees. I think, particularly in the COVID times, people are stressed financially.
Sure. Another issue that's come up is that small business owners have expressed their frustration over the process of getting their projects approved in a timely fashion. Concerns tend to deal with the length of time it takes to get approvals from the different boards and city departments, which has resulted in these businesses taking their businesses to other towns. So what can the city do to change this trend?
I think we need to get away from having just monthly meetings of certain boards and commissions, and I think that the volume of work and the number of applications and inquiries that come in are demanding that we go to maybe 2 meetings a month or maybe a meeting every 3 weeks. But I don't think you can continue to have, for example, board meetings for conservation, planning, zoning, and license commission on a monthly basis, and really address the needs of the business community. The other thing that I would like to see, and it would be up to the mayor, but a central office of business affairs and regulations, someplace in City Hall where you could almost have a round turret, and if you wanted something from the license commission, you'd go to this customer service window, something from the building department to that window, something from conservation or planning, this window. People would be cross-trained, you'd be able to hand out information to someone who came in, and then take a look at the schedule, almost like a doctor's office, and say, if you submit your application by this date, then I can put you on this agenda. I mean, we do that everywhere we go, whether we go to the dentist or again, the doctor, or we go for a test at the hospital. They'll give you your date when you tell them what you need done or what's been ordered done for you. And I don't think that would be a bad idea for the city to consider that. And then if it doesn't work, at least we've tried. Maybe we could study what's done in other cities. Interesting.
Yeah. So currently, as you know, the city council is elected every 2 years. Do you think the city should consider changing the election cycle to every 4 years, or would you support changing any of these positions from part-time to full-time?
I think we should go to a 3-year cycle. And the reason I don't go to 4 years is because we don't have a recall provision in our charter. So someone could be elected and short of committing some heinous crime or something that called for them to be removed, you literally have that person there for 4 years. 3-year terms are consistent with the appointments we make to some boards and commissions in the city. It's consistent with what's done in towns when select boards are elected for 3 years. And it would take you out of that constant campaigning. I mean, we're campaigning now. For those of us who are honored to be reelected, we'll be sworn in January, and a year later we go back to campaigning again. And I think it detracts from the work that you need to do as a city official. So I'd like to see the school committee, the city council, and the mayor all go to 3-year terms. I'm not sure I would make the council full-time, but we receive a $15,000 stipend now, you know, full disclosure. But the volume of work, I mean, easily for me, it's 15 or 20 hours a week between reading, calling, meetings. I do think that that stipend should be looked at. I'm not sure where it should be, but I think it should be larger than $15,000 so that someone who really would like to get involved in council work could afford to maybe shave a little time off their current job and be able to participate. But those things really should be studied.
So the idea with having a larger stipend would be to make it more accessible for people to become a city councilor?
Yes. For example, someone might work nights now, and they can't give that up because they've got someone in college or they've got a child in daycare or just the family budget demands that they work 3 or 4 hours at night. If you were to offer a larger stipend, that person might be able to give up that job and say, you know what, I'll devote my time to city council work. I'll jump into the city government mode and see what I can do for Brockton.
Interesting. Great. So in your time as a city councilor, what are you most proud of in terms of accomplishments?
I've taken a look at different things and tried to modernize city government. So I wrote an ordinance which created for the first time specific job requirements and qualifications for the city solicitor, for the human resources director. Councilor Monahan and I wrote an ordinance that mandates that all city positions be advertised for a prescribed period of time and in more than just on the city website. And I also wrote an order that mandates, and you can look it up now, anyone who's interested, we post all of our vendor payments on the auditor page on the city website. So the money that's appropriated to the different departments, you can actually go on to that website and you can find out exactly where the money is going to which vendor and what amount. And it's updated periodically. So not only will you know what money we've appropriated, I think it was important for people to know where it's being spent. And those 3 or 4 things I'm really proud of because I think it, again, moves Brockton forward into the 21st century.
Great. And is there anything you think you would have done differently knowing what you know now?
I think, that's a tough question. There are always things that I think with more light and more experience and maybe more information I would have done differently. Maybe housing projects that I might have approved. Or maybe questions that I should have asked as we were going through different evaluations and issues. So it is a learning process. I'll be the first to admit that I hope every day I learn something different, and I hope every day I kind of improve in the job of being a counselor.
For sure. So for these last couple of minutes, is there anything about yourself or your campaign that you'd like to share with the audience that we haven't talked about yet?
I would like to say to everyone in Brockton, to me it's an honor to serve. And I do treat this as a job. I try to read and research all of the different issues that come into the City Council. I try to make the best possible informed decision for everyone. I won't make every decision that's going to please people, but I want you to know that I try to embrace what I do with honesty and integrity, and I will continue to do so. And I try to do it straightforward for all groups, not any particular interest group, because you're all important. The whole reason why we have a city council and we serve is because we'd like to improve your quality of life. And to the extent that I can do that, I thank you so much for the honor of serving, and I respectfully and humbly ask for your support on November 2nd.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Winthrop. That's all the time we have today, but thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and what you would do as a city councilor if re-elected. And from everyone watching, don't forget to vote on November 2nd in the citywide election.